Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. I think this class of 2025 is going to start to shake out over the course of the next 5 to 6 weeks. Tennessee's got a lot of big-time targets coming off the board. Travis Smith set to make his decision coming up this weekend. Also, Christian Gass is coming off the board. Shady Hayward. We've got Jaden Parotti on Flip Watch. David Sanders has a commitment date. We got an expert prediction. We got a lot to get into, but I think we're really going to see what this class of 25 is going to look like over the course of the next 5 to 6 weeks as we head through July into August. A lot of these kids want to get things done before their senior season of high school football. We've also going to get a head start on the class of 2026 with Faison Brandon set to come off the board. 247 Sports #1 player in the country coming off the board in August. I like where Tennessee's at, but again, we've got an expert prediction to get into. Jaden Parotti is on Flip Watch. Let's talk about it. I made a video on him and Christian Gass both a couple of days ago because the predictions are coming in for Tennessee to land both of these linebackers. You see Jaden Parotti there, 4-star linebacker out of Buford, Georgia, 6'3", 200 pounds, 4-star prospect inside the top 150. We're talking about needle movers. That's kind of been the buzzword I've been throwing around lately, but you can see the graphic on the screen. On threes, Chad Simmons has logged an expert prediction for Tennessee to flip 4-star Georgia commit linebacker Jaden Parotti. Now, again, committed to Georgia since December of 2022. I went through his scouting report in the previous video, so I'm not going to do that again. Not going to bore you with that. But the kid's got size. He's got speed. He's got athleticism. He's a twitchy player. He's a guy that can read and react. He can play multiple positions, whether that's blitzing off the edge. He can run you down from behind. He loves to hit. That's something I love. You know, we talk a lot about Shady Hayward and his quote about choosing violence. Jaden Parotti, very similar. He likes that contact. He's got that dog in him. He's got that mean streak. You know, in the video a couple of days ago, I was talking about an On3 article called Stick or Flip. Both Chad Simmons and Steve Wiltfong predicted Parotti to ultimately flip and end up somewhere other than Georgia. Chad Simmons had said, you know, this time a year ago, Auburn was the team that was being talked about the most. And then Florida State took that spot in the fall. He said Miami was a school high on his list earlier this year. Then Auburn reemerged. But the school now with the most buzz is Tennessee. Steve Wiltfong said Tennessee is a school that has all the momentum. So now that Chad Simmons has put it in his official prediction for the flip from Georgia to Tennessee, this is what he said. Said Parotti took an official visit to Knoxville in June, and the Vols have had the momentum since then for the 4-star, since the 4-star was in Athens for an official visit late in June. Tennessee continues to trend for one of the best in the Peach State. So, you know, obviously a lot of Georgia fans are going to say he's not a take. He was over-recruited. Look, Jaden Parotti wanted to shop around. Maybe Georgia took a little steam off, and Tennessee put on more steam. He goes on to say there is a lot of talk of Parotti returning to Knoxville later this month for another unofficial visit, and there is no staff recruiting him harder than Josh Heupel. So in the video a couple of days ago, that's something that I mentioned and I talked about is Jaden Parotti going to, you know, decommit, set a date, and then go and make that commitment? Or is he just going to pull the trigger, say, I've decommitted from Georgia, I'm heading to Tennessee? But it's interesting that he wants to take another visit to Knoxville. Again, it would be an unofficial visit. And then I want to go take a look at this. This was on his Instagram. This was after his official visit back on June the 14th. Of course, they do the photo shoots. You can see him there holding that national championship, repping the number 0. What do you guys think about the number 0? Does it take a dog to rep that number? But you look through the comments and you see all the guys that you would expect, right? You see there on the screen, Arian Carter, you know what's up, George McIntyre, yeah, fam, Ethan Davis, fingers crossed, David Hobbs, all these Vols, right? Ethan Utley, yeah, it's in you. All these guys, current Vols, but you scroll on up. Big David Sanders says, uh-oh, the fireworks are about to go off. And that's the number one question I get asked. I had an eye exam this morning. When I walk in, the doctor doesn't say, how's your vision? How's the family? How you doing? He says, is David Sanders a Vol? It's the number one question I get asked. We're going to get into it. He set a date. We're going to talk about David Sanders, but we're halfway through this video. I need you guys to do me a favor and hit the thumbs up just below the video. It is quick. It's free. It's easy. It helps the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're not journalists. We're not reporters, but we don't pretend to be that. We're not trying to sell you on something that we're not. We're not trying to pretend that we know more than you. We are fans here. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. We do what fans do. We speculate. We talk about the news. We look at the rumors on message boards, and we bring it here and we break it down as a community. That's what it's all about. You guys are what drive this show. If you like what we do, think about subscribing. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. I'll be live tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. The last ride, the last time we're going to be playing NCAA 14 revamped before we move into EA Sports College Football 25. So come hang out tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Going to have a good time as always. But let's jump over and let's talk about the man of the hour. This came out on Twitter yesterday. Final Four, where is home? David Sanders has a decision date. We kind of been speculating that it was probably going to be August. There was talk that he wanted to do it in front of his peers, right, in front of the student body. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to make his decision on August the 17th. It's Tennessee, it's Georgia, it's Ohio State, and he's got Nebraska in that Final Four. Shout out to all you Clemson fans that have been commenting on my videos for months saying that he is a Clemson lock. They're not even in the Final Four. Now, there might be some question marks around Nebraska being there, right? But Dylan Raiola, when he flipped his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska, created a little buzz. But let's be real. Let's be honest. This thing is between Tennessee and Ohio State. Now, let's go take a look at the article and let's see what he said about each of his Final Four teams. Again, this is on 3. This is not behind a paywall. You can go check out the full article, but I just want to see what he says about each team. Georgia is Georgia, David Sanders says you want to go there, go to the NFL, that's the place to go. Coach Smart's done a great job. Me and Coach Stacy have a great relationship. He's been recruiting me since he was at UNC, so me and him go way back. I think they're doing a great job with the guys they brought in the 24 class. Mason Short's coming into Georgia, and that's one of my really good friends in this whole entire recruitment process. So Georgia's done a great job. They were one of my early offers, my 10th offer as a freshman, so they've been on me really early. Georgia's always been at the top of the list. Now, I think Georgia was up there at one point, and that's kind of been my narrative with this whole thing is it's always been Tennessee and Georgia, Tennessee and Clemson. Now it's Tennessee and Ohio State. Tennessee has been the constant for David Sanders. Let's look at Ohio State, and then we'll come back and look at what he says about Tennessee. He says, I would say they were always in the mix for sure because I liked Ohio State. Obviously, they're known for making great offensive tackles. Seeing that as a young kid, like I can go there, do the same thing. Ohio State got the bump early, because I'd only been there one time until recently. Ohio State is different, but they've done a phenomenal job coming up there for spring. A couple of times being around that program, I just think Coach Fry is an amazing offensive line coach. He's shown that he can develop guys and push them to the next level. He's very passionate in everything that he's doing. I feel like his coaching style and my playing style can mesh really good. Let's see what Steve Wiltfong said about Ohio State, because he's a guy that put out after the visits to Ohio State that he considered them the front runner, and that concerned a lot of people, myself included. I definitely think Ohio State very much in it. This was from earlier today. Steve Wiltfong said, I've given Ohio State the inch or two lead at this point in the process, but there is still a lot of time for Sanders and his family to pour over the details in trying to find the next home. Says with the Buckeyes, he likes the track record of player development and the resources players have being in Columbus. He is an aspiring sports medicine major that visited Ohio State 3 times this calendar year, including the official visit of June the 21st. Now he goes on to talk about Tennessee. Steve Wiltfong says the Vols have surged this year as well, and they're in a great position for the stretch run. Sanders has been to Knoxville 4 times this year, including the spring game, the 865 live event, and his official visit in June. Says he likes the coaching staff and has done everything there to date, including a day in the life of a student athlete. Now, Big Dave Sanders himself says, I love Tennessee's coaching staff, Coach Hype, Coach Ellerby. They do a great job with that personal connection. I think out of anybody, they do the best job calling, texting, just staying in contact with my parents and building that relationship. I just feel like you can be yourself at Tennessee. There's nothing you have to do differently, even though it's the big SEC schools that win a lot of games and it is in contention for winning a national championship year in and year out. That's a place you go and freely be yourself. I feel like you can go there, develop, and be the first big-time offensive tackle to come out of Tennessee. Excuse me, Dave. You know, we want you. We need you. We want you to be a priority. We have put some guys to the league. I don't know if you remember Darnell Wright, number 10 overall NFL draft pick. Why don't you come be the next? You and Lance Hurd lead this offensive line. Take this offense to the next level. He says they have everything you need to be successful there. So that's what David Sanders says about Ohio State, about Georgia and Tennessee. How are you guys feeling going into the commitment? Again, the date is set. It's going to be August the 17th. We will cover that live right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, so make sure you're dialed in, tuned in for that. I like where Tennessee's at. Again, I've said it over and over. I think Tennessee has been the constant, right? Tennessee and Georgia, Tennessee and Clemson, Tennessee and Ohio State. I think he's familiar and comfortable with this staff. What he says about being yourself is huge. We talk about Josh Heupel and how he's genuine and he's authentic and that he actually cares about these kids. And that's something that we heard from Anthony Aguimoro, right? He said the other coaches call and it's, well, who have you talked to today? Who's recruiting you? Who's in your ear? What's going on? Whereas Josh Heupel calls and says, how's your family? How's life? How was your day? That's genuine. That's authentic. And I think these kids can see that when it comes to Josh Heupel. He's the big one. This is the big one. We need David Sanders in the vote. Number 2 overall player in the country, best offensive lineman in the country. What do you think? Let's jump into the comment section and talk about it. As always, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, that bell's rung for notifications. If you want to support the channel, you can think about becoming a member. Hit that join button over there. You can do it for just $1 a month. We would greatly appreciate that support. You get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. You can also go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. All the links are in the description, but that is going to do it for this one. Hope you guys have a great Monday. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.